Good morning, today's Thursday, August 27, 2020. We are here for a work session. As always, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Catherine, can you please take the seat?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, just a quick announcement concerning the Highway Department is finally finishing up debris removal. It's, as a result of the recent tropical storm, it's taking a lot longer, and hopefully we should be finished this week. Gio and his team are hoping to end this project, and we're also expecting another tropical storm, so we might have, the Highway Department might have their work cut out for them. First under the agenda today is, again, and I put this up, I spoke to the highway superintendent a few days ago, and leaf pickup has been an issue, he informed me, for 6 years. This has been at work session at least twice that I know of. It's been at executive session, and I think that the residents of this town deserve a resolution on this. Whether it's for or not, let's iron it out here. It's getting close to the time of pickup. The highway superintendent has to now start planning for the winter and training employees and making sure his equipment is in order. And we need a resolution, and again, the residents deserve it, we need to, and hopefully today, we will resolve this issue. Gio, have you given this to us so we can put online? Because usually the press wants copy, and with Zoom. Did we get this beforehand?
You got that last time I was here.
Okay, yeah, so when it comes up on that, she'll go put it up on the net now. Usually anything, that's gonna be distributed, because of the limitations in town hall, the press likes to see it and read it. So we'll put it up after the, work session.
I'll give you, two of them. The first one we can go over afterwards, but the main one was the leaf pickup issues. Back here again.
Here we are.
Get a definitive answer.
Oh, wait, did I give you?
I'm having a deja vu.
Been trying to coordinate an effort for 6 years now, knowing what the future brings. Being we're heading into September with all these storms, and the storms actually, hopefully, like I said, will be done, a majority of it, or most of it tomorrow. But then we do have to go back probably a couple of days next week because PSEG did cut down trees after we went through. So hopefully by next week, definitely everything's done. But we do have some residual stuff left to do. I guess I'm just waiting on an answer. Have you guys been talking, or what do you feel, or have any of you driven by the debris yard lately? We're inundated with all the brush from the past storm. Certainly we're over. I don't know if DEC will cut us some slack on that because of the storm, but I leave it up to you guys to make a decision on.
Gio, how many towns on the east end are doing this?
The leaf pickup?
Yeah.
None. East Hampton stopped it like 5 years ago because the supervisor then decided that they didn't want to pay the highway superintendent to do leaf pickup. So they stopped it right then and there. I believe what they possibly did was open up their debris area for residents for free on the other side of Youngs Avenue. Southampton, I think, if you're over 70, you can put your leaves out for people over 70.
How do you keep track of that, Gio?
Huh?
How do you keep track? I
Of
mean, for leaf pickup, how do you know
How do you know how old they are?
how old people are in a house?
Well, they would come down and register at the highway.
Oh,
yard.
okay. Did you get any other I mean, I'm looking at all the solutions that you have here, were there any others that were brought to light? I know you met with a couple of people, George Bartnick and I think Mark Hopner from the Environmental Committee, did they have any other suggestions?
What the issue is that, and, I don't know if you guys, Smithtown, Highway Department, they have a serious issue up there with all the brush and the storms we're having. It's hard to get rid of this stuff. Probably down the road, you may have to truck it off the island. Everybody's fully stocked with brush, leaves. It's just an issue that's been around for a while and it has to be addressed.
So first of all, let me say, there was a tremendous amount of debris after that storm. I mean, everywhere you looked, almost everybody's house, there was a huge pile. And I thought you guys did a good job getting it all cleaned up, and I am hearing that hurricane season is going to be a rough one, so I do think there is a good possibility of more debris.
I'd rather have a big snow, I'd rather have 5 feet of snow than, than this, cause it just doesn't go away. And like I said, we're probably over our limit now at the debris area.
Now, in looking at what can be done about these issues, you can do all of these things, right? I mean, it's not one or the other. I'm looking over and make it all
These are
be
just
done.
ideas that I came up with from other towns on how they do things.
Right,
since
they all work
stopped.
in conjunction with each other, from
Yeah.
the way I see it.
Yeah, like I said, you have to have another reason or place to do this when you get rid of all this stuff. If you stop in a program, you have to have something else to do with it. And I understand people like it, but under the comments, when this was started years ago, it was for the regular person that wanted to rake their yards, put stuff out. Now it's getting to a point, we got landscapers doing people's yards. They're supposed to take the stuff. I go out Saturday morning, Sunday morning. I catch on average 5 or 6 landscapers doing work early in the morning, dumping the stuff out for us when they should be taking it, or probably getting paid to take it and putting it out anyway.
Right.
So you also, one of the other issues was where we used to dump leaves in Jamesport and Wading River Yard, excuse me, so that we could do it in 3 weeks. DEC says we can no longer do that, so everything has to go to a central location, probably adding an extra 1 to 2 weeks on the pickup itself. At that time, we're also getting trucks ready for winter and snow fence. We're already short-staffed. Sooner or later, you gotta make a decision on this. I get people calling up, where's my snow fence? Weather plays a big factor in all this. On rainy days, you can't get into the farm fields. Rainy days, you can't get into farms to dump the leaves. So instead of a 3-week process that we got it down to now, you're talking anyway 4 to 5 weeks to do this. And then, like I said before, it's not a highway function, so the highway department should be paid for this.
And Gio, doesn't the town budget for leaf pickup? Is there a certain amount that we have?
No,
Bill?
that's not in the
This
budget.
year? Do we have, we allocate any funds for leaf pickup from the town? No.
Gio, personally, I hate to lose this, but I understand why we have to make changes. I certainly would favor doing the pickup for the people 70 and over. I also like the idea of keeping the drop-off area open for all the other residents. This way they do have access to dispose of the leaves somewhere. But I think if we go with, I don't want to go from doing it to not doing anything at all. So I think if we at least take this year and do for residents 70 and over, see how that goes and open up the yard for the other residents to come in, let's take a look at it and reevaluate it and see how well it went and see if there were problems that we can work out in the future or whatever. But instead of shutting it down completely, keep it open for the 70 and over, and leave the yard open for the residents to come. That's what I favor.
And it's given people the, opportunity, it's an alternative. It's not like it's totally shut down, and I agree
Right.
with Tim. You can't take a service and just totally remove it, but that's why we're here, to discuss this.
What about people with disabilities?
I'm sure they would go under that, we could possibly do that too with, if they notified us. The problem is that, you know, when, just my opinion, for 6 years I've been bringing this up, and, we have to determine what's the highway department gonna be compensated for this also. So,
Well-
I know the budget is kinda tight, but it is what it is, 6 years, and we're still at this point where we're still discussing this.
Well, I think we could probably lower the highway taxes too, seeing as you're putting so much into fund balance each year.
Well,
When we're only
we're,
supposed to have
we're
15%
putting
in fund balance, so
so
we might
much,
be able to.
we're putting so much in fund balance, because we didn't have much of a winter this year. I'll explain this again. The money in fund balance is used to purchase equipment, because I only get $150,000 a year. That's not even one full dump truck with everything on it that comes with it. So that money's being well spent to keep our equipment upgraded. Now, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, once we get everything we need, we can slow down a little bit, or we don't have to do better maintenance, may not have to buy as much of equipment. Then, and only then, once the highway department is in a great mechanical position, then we can think about, giving the taxpayers a break. But most of the taxpayers, you're only paying $200 a year.
Getting back to the leaf pickup, and, you know, we've spoken about this for a long time. It's really the only one thing that you can count on every year, is that the leaves will fall off the tree. So whether the town picks them up and brings them to the yard, or the people bring them to the yard, we're still accumulating the same amount of leaves.
Exactly.
Correct.
So that doesn't address the DEC issue. I think we really have to wrap our head around the DEC part of that equation, because the leaves will still come every year.
Yes.
Yeah, and the supervisor did give us the number of somebody to reach out to at the DEC, Frank, so, you know, I know you were running last time, but maybe after a work session today, we can put a call in
Yeah,
there.
because I think that's really the key component, because they're not gonna diminish.
Right.
People are gonna either take them themselves, or the town's gonna pick them up. So we're still gonna have to have an area that we can keep these.
Yeah. And like I said, every other
within-
town
Within
is.
the DEC
Yeah.
guidelines.
Every other town is experiencing the same thing.
Yeah,
And you can't even give this stuff away.
right.
You know, it's so much of it. So we need to find an answer, and like I said, it gets frustrating because I've been bringing this up for 6 years. In 6 years, we still haven't made a
Well, we need to resolve
decision.
this, even, after today's meeting, if you make phone calls and we just email each other, and we need to get a resolution, to this matter, and hopefully, can we agree that by next week, we'll all agree as a board, what we're gonna do?
Yeah, we
move
need to
forward?
hear back from DEC
Yeah.
to make a final decision for sure.
Yeah, can we agree, we can resolve this by the end of next week, after we contact the DEC?
I think
Absolutely.
so.
Catherine?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this should be resolved. I know that, I know the community likes the service, but there's a reason that all the other towns don't have it. I'm assuming it's the same reasons that you're giving to us.
Correct.
And Gio's been coming to us for this over and over. I would, agree with Tim, if we're going to stop, I would want to, I like all of the ideas here, the first 4 you could do, and certainly we should be moving towards, composting, going green and composting, so I would definitely not wanna stop everything cold turkey. If we're going to stop pickup, I would want to continue with 70 and over, and as Jody mentioned, people with disabilities, have a free drop-off for the other residents, have a fee for commercial landscapers, we can talk about that. And of course, our code enforcement and police are out there watching all the time.
Yeah, somebody has to be monitoring, what's going out there on the weekends, because there are certain people that are taking advantage of it, and just,
Well, I know down by me, someone didn't get them out on time, and then they were out there.
yeah, then they throw them out, and the other
Right.
thing,
It
issue
was
is,
dangerous.
they throw them out in the road, which they shouldn't be, and then we get rain.
Mhm.
The rain drags the leaves into the drains, now you got flooding issues, it's just,
This was on Oakley, it was
Keep-
downhill,
right.
and it literally covered half of the road.
and then all those leaves ran down into the drains.
Right.
And now, if you get a good storm, that water's gonna wash out that whole circle down there. You wouldn't be surprised the amount of damage water can do, in force like that, but it is what it is, that's what I'm saying, we really need to. And the other thing, back in the day when we had 40-something guys, we could take 10 guys and put on snow fence and get trucks ready and have the other 32 or 31 that we have now do leaf pickup, but we just don't have the personnel. And then you include vacation time, it's the holidays, it's just,
So at some point, I mean, if people like it, but as officials, sometimes we have to make hard decisions. And, so I would, want to continue with these things. And I know there's some kind of issue, I know that, Phil Schmidt and Rob Carpenter brought up some issues about composting with Rob Clarko when he was out here from the legislature, so there's issues with that too, we did bring that up, and at that point, I did bring up that we have all these leaves and we don't have anywhere to take them anymore, right?
Yep.
So, all right, that's where I stand on it.
All right,
Um,
Gio, and the purchases, we'll speak on that?
well, I just wanted to give you this so you can read
Yeah.
over, because
Right,
once again, we're getting to November, and
Okay.
I'm kinda short on stuff, and just, I
Yeah,
kinda
well,
get frustrated with
everything
that.
that was outstanding was taken care of this week,
Yeah.
so.
But that was the smaller stuff, this stuff here is,
Yeah,
as far as equipment, I get frustrated because I like to have things in order. And the money's there, and I don't understand why we're waiting, or whatever we're doing with this,
I
so.
think the purchasing order, officer was, out also. We discussed that last week, she's back, and I think everything was signed off, so we'll, hopefully we'll have an answer on the leaf pickup, and, that way you can plan.
Okay,
It's,
I like to stay ahead of the program, not get,
Okay.
once you get behind, it's hard to, get caught up again.
that's why we put it on session tonight, we needed to bring this to a conclusion.
Okay,
Okay, thank you,
Leo,
have a
can
good
you
time.
pass along to, you and Mike, did a great job, and can you pass along to the crew how appreciative we are of the hard work they did with this past storm?
yeah,
It was a crazy amount of work.
if you guys wanna stop by and bring a pizza for the guys and say thank you, that's fine too.
Sure, what do you want on top?
Just plain will be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
They're gonna take you up on that.
But Gio, do I have to be there at 4 in the morning?
Okay. Next item up for discussion is Richard Wines Landmarks Preservation, Community Walking Tour, Giglio, and Thomas is on vacation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Richard is there.
Huh? Yeah, those those two items, if we can put them up, Lisa can put them up, right?
Oh, these are from you?
Yes.
Okay.
Morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
You're muted, Richard.
The computer. Your right-hand screen.
You have to unmute.
We can't hear you.
Okay, now can you hear me?
There you go.
There we go, great,
Very
We
good.
can
thank
hear you.
You have to start learning sign language now. Explain to them in sign language.
Okay,
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
Yeah, so Richard, do you wanna, the Landmarks Preservation Commission has been talking about a walking tour of historic sites in town, in the downtown area specifically, and putting some signage, either with QR codes or, so information about the house where you can go onto a website, you can map it out, and you can go and walk by the houses and be able to hear something or have, the information about that particular house. So we did meet with Dawn Thomas last year, I believe it was, and trying to get grant funding for this and trying to, you know, get an estimate as to how much we think it would cost. And I think it was around $75,000, right, Richard?
I came in at 63,000. So, just to pick up from what Jody was saying, this is something the Landmarks Commission has been talking about for a long time. Basically, the idea would be that there'd be signage posted around downtown at historic sites. Each sign would have a little QR code on it. People would be able to walk up to the sign, click on the QR code, and get a little narration about that historic site, its significance in downtown, and also see photographs connected with that, probably archival photographs. The signs would be relatively modest. Hopefully they could be put on the front of buildings or the street in front of the buildings. We're hoping that this would be something that people could walk up to and just get information about one site if they wanted, or could do the whole tour, which might be about 35 sites, or any part of it they wished. There would also be another way of doing the tour, and that would be by coming to the town's website, and then they could click on a map and click on the sites on the town's website and hear the same information and see the same pictures. So there'd be two ways of doing it. The reason we're doing it this way is we think in the past we actually did a walking tour brochure, but it's very hard to keep brochures and things in stock and at places around town. So this would have nothing you need to maintain going forward. Basically, the signs would be there. Anyone could do any bit of it they wanted at any time. It's relatively straightforward. We would have volunteers do all of the research work, assemble all of the photographs. Narration we could do in several ways. Some towns have done things like this using school children, use town board members. We could use for amateur actors. I'm doing something similar in Halleckville using amateur actors. So it'll just be a way of promoting our downtown. So Dawn asked me to bring it to the attention of the town board. Just like to make sure you're aware of it, see if you have any questions, hopefully have your support. And then she was hoping to go out and find grant funding that we could do this. It's just one more feather in Riverhead's cap.
Richard, I think it's a wonderful idea. We have such a great history here and so many buildings that are interesting to look at. The one thing I would make an analogy to is that down in San Antonio, Texas, that the Alamo does something very similar to what you're recommending, where you click onto a SKU and it brings you the story of, as you're walking through, or in this case walking around downtown, the information about each thing that you're looking at. It's really a wonderful way to take a tour. You don't have to have a person leading a group or anything like that. It can all be done individually, and I think it's a great idea.
Thank
Richard,
you.
I just have to say, I love everything about it. I think it's a great thing. Hopefully, it just does seem like something that there'd be funding for, you know, because it ties into so many things, revitalization, the arts. Of course, I like the idea because I did so much community theater. I like the idea of the actors. It's such a cool thing that Port Jeff does at Christmas time. They have everyone dressed up doing the Charles Dickens. So somehow I could see some of our residents in some costumes doing the walking tour. But anyway, I think it's a great thing. If Dawn can find the funding for it, I would certainly be in favor.
Thank you.
Same here, Richard. I applaud you for your work and effort in this. I have been to villages and towns that have this and have used it, and it is very interesting, especially for people visiting our town. But you know, we think we know a lot about our town. We can learn from this ourselves, so that's what I like about it also.
Great. I think even I learned in the process.
Yeah, I think we're all learning how to use QR codes. Remember, that was one of the biggest hurdles that we had in our meeting. And now with the paperless menus and their QR codes to look up the menus for restaurants, I think more and more people are going to be using the QR codes. So it's we do have an estimate from a computer company that could assist us with this, and it's just a matter of getting the funding.
And to
And
Tim,
I know Dawn is relatively confident that we'd be able to find grant funding for something like this. We had a couple of ideas that should work.
Yes.
Great, so we just wanted to make sure we had the town board behind us. Your enthusiasm and support is appreciated. Unless there are more questions, I don't need to take any more of your time.
Just one thing, Richard, to Tim's point, that a lot of us don't even know about stuff in our own town. If any of you go on that site, Remembering Riverhead, people are, on a daily basis, they post, buildings from Riverhead and information about it, and everyone loves it. So I know that, you know, not just for people who are visiting from outside of town, I think people within our town would enjoy this. I think it's a great thing.
Yes, and you may remember that Remembering Riverhead grew out of a storytelling session that I did at the Riverhead Grill some years ago,
Yes.
getting old timers to talk about Riverhead. So it's a great source, and Riverhead has so many great stories.
Yep.
Great. And
Okay,
thank you
thank
for
you.
this effort, this is exciting, and I think that, this was also fall in line, today we'll commence on, installing wayfinding signs throughout Riverhead to help guide pedestrians and in our business, in our riverfront district, and I saw the signs at 2 o'clock, they're gonna start installing them, we'll be out there at the riverfront, hopefully the board will be able to make it, and I think, we're starting to see things becoming gentrified here, and thank you for your years of effort, and, this is exciting, we're moving in the right direction.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay, so the next item up, the remaining item is building planning, matter surrounding site plan application, Murphy and Bergman. Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Just waiting for the applicant, make sure he's online with us. He's good? All right. Pablo, can you hear us? Does he need to unmute himself? There we go.
Good morning. This is Pablo Rodriguez. Did you guys call my name?
Yes, we did, good morning, Pablo.
Good morning. How you doing?
All right. Good morning, Pablo. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to read through the staff report, and then the board can open it up if they have any questions for you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Town Board. Greg Bergman, Town of Riverhead Planning Department. I'm here to discuss a site plan application that the Planning Department has received, which proposes facade improvements to an existing commercial building, as well as a change of use of one of the divided tenant spaces from a bar tavern, which was formerly known as the Loose Caboose. And they're going to convert that to a grocery supermarket use. The site plan also proposes drainage, lighting, and parking lot improvements throughout the site. The property is located within the Riverhead Historic District and within the Railroad Avenue Urban Renewal Area, which places the site plan approval within the jurisdiction of the Town Board rather than the Planning Board. The subject parcel, identified as Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-128-3-17.1, is a 0.3 acre parcel which is located at 133 through 139 Railroad Avenue in Riverhead on the south side of the road opposite the Long Island Railroad Station House. The property is presently improved with a one-story, approximately 4,975 square foot multi-tenant concrete commercial structure, along with parking area, refuse enclosure, as well as a one-story, 624 square foot detached concrete block garage. The existing structures on site do have letters of pre-existing use, which were issued on November 21st, 1983. Pursuant to Town Code, Chapter 225, the proposed action is a Type 1 action under SECRA, requiring mandatory coordinator review with involved agencies. Staff recommends that the Town Board adopt a resolution to classify the Type 1 action and initiate the coordinator review phase. It is noted that only a short environmental assessment form was submitted with the application. We do require a full EAF for the referral to take place. It is noted also that the Type 1 classification is required under our town code. However, if this was just looked at under a SECRA scope, it would be considered a Type 2, as it would be maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes to the existing structure or facility. Accordingly, staff recommends that the town board, upon the 30-day coordination period, assume lead agency, and the staff was recommending a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA, as the proposed site improvements of an existing commercial site will not have a significant negative environmental impact, nor will it impair the reasonable and orderly development of the surrounding area. One thing that is problematic, during a site visit which was conducted by planning staff on August 5th of 2020, it was noted that there had been an expansion of the building which was constructed without the requisite site plan approval or building permits. This expansion did create a connection between the main building area and the detached garage to the south. However, the use of the space is unclear and is not shown on any of the site plan drawings. The site plan drawings do currently propose a 6-foot wide canopy to connect the two buildings. The area of the expansion can be seen in figures 4 and 5 of my staff report. It is unclear when this expansion took place. However, it is noted that in a photo log which was submitted by the applicant's design professional, which was dated June 15th, 2020, that addition had not yet been constructed. The applicant must address this aspect through the site plan review process. If they intend to keep it, they must detail its use, demonstrate compliance with the requisite building and fire codes, or conversely, they can remove the expansion. It is noted that if they do intend to keep this, it is within a required side yard setback, so that would create an additional need for a variance. In terms of the facade improvements consist of new windows, doors, a new brick veneer on the building on the Railroad Avenue frontage, repainting of the existing stucco facade, new metal roof coping, as well as replacing the existing vinyl siding. The plans indicate that colors for paint and new vinyl siding will be determined by the owner. However, that information will be required for the Architectural Review Board's review of the project. In terms of the parking improvements, the site plan currently proposes to utilize the existing parking area, and they're going to restripe the parking stalls as 9-foot by 20-foot double striped. Usually town code requires 10-foot by 20 stalls, but there is a provision in the code which allows the reviewing board to approve 9-foot by 20, provided they're double striped, which they are proposing. They do propose angled parking along the western property boundary, and then 90-degree head-in parking along the southern property boundary. The proposed uses of the facility, including the grocery use and the existing taxi dispatch office, as well as barber shop, require a total of 20 on-site parking stalls based on the requirement of the town code's parking schedule. The site plan currently demonstrates that they are able to provide 14 on-site parking stalls. It is noted that the current uses of the property, which include barber shop, taxi dispatcher, a vacant tavern, and a vacant retail store, those current uses would require a total of 36 parking stalls pursuant to the town code. Although the building and the site are pre-existing, this site has never undergone a site plan review by the town board before. There is no mechanism in the town code to waive the current parking requirements, even though the proposed changes of use reduce the intensity of the required parking. As such, this creates a situation where the applicant must go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a relief for the parking variance, which would result in their 6 stalls short. And for the board's reference, that would, if they get approved from the ZBA, that would require a payment of $12,000. There's a $2,000 per space fee, which is assessed for any parking relief. The site plan does propose to install new drainage and grease traps throughout the parking area, which will require the current surface to be ripped up. Paving details must be provided on the site plan and must demonstrate compliance with the town code. Site plan proposes to remove an existing dumpster enclosure, which is currently located at the southwest corner of the property, and will relocate the dumpster enclosure closer to the building. In terms of exterior lighting, the plan submitted shows that it will replace all existing non-compliant lighting fixtures with dark sky compliant lighting. There are a total of 10 proposed wall-mounted fixtures, 4 on the northern elevation, 2 on the western elevation, and 4 on the southern elevation. All proposed fixtures comply with the maximum mounting height. However, it is noted that 2 of the fixtures are proposed at a 4,000 degree Kelvin color temperature, where town code requires 3,000. This is a revision that must be made on future plans. The Landmarks Preservation Commission did review this project in a memo dated August 18th, 2020. The Landmarks Preservation offered the following comments. They detailed the background of the application. In terms of the significance of the structure, They noted that the one-story commercial structure was likely constructed in the 1920s or the 1930s and is located in the downtown historic district. One significant feature is the crenellated parapet, which is a feature that was characteristic of its era. The Landmarks Preservation believe that this is a much-needed renovation and important to upgrading that portion of our downtown. They recommended approval of the plans with two exceptions, that the existing parapet is one of historic significant element and should be retained or replicated. And following the LPC's standard approval practice in the downtown historic district, the siding in the rear portions should be hardy plank or a similar fiber cement, not vinyl as they're currently proposed. Referral to outside agencies, including Suffolk County Planning Commission, Suffolk County Department of Health Services, will take place during the SECRA coordination process. At this time, staff recommends the town board adopt the resolution to classify the action and initiate the SECRA coordination process. Upon the 30-day coordination process, staff recommends the assumption of a lead agency. The plans will obviously need to be revised to address the illegal expansion, to address some of the paving techniques, some of the lighting techniques, and the board should weigh in on the Landmark Preservation Commission's recommendation about the parapet of the building.
Greg, what is a crenellated
That was my
parapet?
question.
Thank
What is
you.
a crenellated parapet?
I'm not sure what crenellated means, but the parapet is when you have a building, it's sort of a, it extends above the roof line to give some architectural element.
Okay.
It's really,
You could see it on the top. in
yeah,
the-
on
the
the elevation
gallery.
drawings that I provided to you, on the first sheet, the existing front elevation, it has all this different,
It's like a Greek architecture.
yeah, like some different differentiation in the surfaces. It creates some texture to the building. And right now, on page 2, what the proposed facade is sort of just a generic brick facade to remove that parapet. So that's one, the LPC has made the recommendation. It would be in the board's purview to support that recommendation and require revised elevations to mimic that parapet.
But I also understand, this was a tavern in the past, was it, I think it was closed 2 years ago
Correct,
by the SLA,
correct.
so it just remains decayed and.
Correct.
and
Right now, I mean, it's, I don't want to go as far as to say it's a blighted structure, but the building.
It's very close to it, yes.
The building is in dire need of a facelift, and that's what the applicant is proposing to do. Breathe new life into a site that has sort of long been under the radar and not really been maintained very well.
And well overdue, perfect, okay.
Yeah, but it is an expired use, because if the use has not existed for more than a year, then they have to go for, to reestablish it as a use,
Correct.
because it's not a permitted use in the zoning district.
Correct.
And it's, a tavern is a permitted use by special permit of the town board, so are they coming to us for a special permit?
No, so they are the Loose Caboose Tavern on the eastern side of the property, on the eastern side of the building. There was the Loose Caboose Tavern space, and there was a smaller retail space. They're currently proposing to eliminate the dividing wall between those two spaces and propose a grocery store use.
So it's actually an expansion of the grocery store.
Correct.
Which is also
so-
not a permitted use in.
Well, grocery would be considered retail, which is a permitted use.
So, first of all, let me say that I'm really pleased that someone's redoing this facade. I'm looking forward to having having several of those buildings redone down there. They all need work. Just wondering a couple of things. So, you said there was an expansion done. So was that the previous owner that did the expansion then, you think?
I don't believe so. Again, I don't know exactly when the expansion was constructed. I have spoken with the applicant's design professional. He has had conversations with the property owner. I believe he would be best to speak about that specific issue, about when it was constructed, why it was constructed. But that's something that they will need to address. To go for the zoning board of appeals, to go for the variances, and demonstrate compliance. We have no idea how it was built. We have no idea if it complies with any building codes, fire codes,
Right.
structural
Doesn't look like
structural
it.
safety.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Yeah.
look at a square box with a hole,
I agree.
That's
So
what does it.
that's something the applicant will need to provide, and I did speak with the design professional. I believe the applicant's intent, I believe they will remove that expansion. I don't think they want to go forward with building that at this time, just for the extra steps that it's gonna create.
Right, I would wanna know who did this expansion without getting the proper permits. Over to the dumpster, you said that we're relocating the dumpster, I'm assuming that that will be required to have some sort of enclosure around it, 'cause in this picture, it doesn't look like it does, unless I'm seeing it wrong.
And that's the existing dumpster enclosure, which again, just hasn't been maintained, kind of overgrown with vegetation. The site plan does propose to relocate the dumpster closer to the building, and I believe it will be screened.
Right, once again, I mean, we have problems with dumpsters, as you all know. Downtown, we've got some locations where we have to constantly monitor the dumpsters. And I have brought it up, it's not a regular dumpster over behind Preston House, it's, I think it's a compactor. Yeah, but still, I love the way he did that enclosure around that dumpster, so always looking to have these dumpsters enclosed, because we do have problems with illegal dumping.
And just to clarify, the site plan does propose a chain link fence with the vinyl privacy slats. Based on the proposed location of the dumpster, it's kind of tucked away in the back corner of the building, so it's not something that would be public visible from any public rights of way. So if the board's okay with the chain link fence with the vinyl privacy slats, I believe that would provide adequate screening.
And not
Yeah.
just screening, I would think safety too.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about I'm trying to think back as to how we allowed the taxi dispatcher there, because I know that was something that we had discussed several years in the past, probably 6 years ago, something like that, 6 or 7 years ago. Was that created by special permit, the taxi dispatcher station?
I don't know that information, I'd have to double check the building permit files, but I can research that and get the board an answer.
Because I'm concerned about the taxis that are there now that line the side of the road and people walking across the street to get to the taxis, and the safety of those people that are going back and forth, and the amount of taxis that are there at any particular time waiting. And just curious as to whether or not they have a yard somewhere when the taxis are not running, that they're parking them, and if the parking spots that are being proposed are going to accommodate those taxis when they're not on the road. Because we do have, the market on West Main Street too, the Riverhead Market, that we had several problems with not having enough parking for that particular market, and people were parking out on the street, and it was creating a dangerous situation with people running across the street, across 25 to get to the grocery store or the market.
That market's actually proposing to build a new building across the street to take care and alleviate those problems.
Right, but I don't
Good.
want to
I know
create the
exactly what you're
same-
saying.
I don't wanna create the same problem
Right.
here.
I will look into how that taxi dispatch was established, and I'll bring back some answers to the board on that question.
Right, and I think it's gonna be a problem to go to the zoning board of appeals for the relief for the parking spaces that are needed, because the parking spaces should be on site for the grocery store, especially with, parents with little kids that are going into the grocery store to go shopping, and it's just a dangerous roadway, and with the taxi cabs lined on the side of the road, you often see people jumping out behind one to get across the street, so.
Well, so it does create an interesting situation, because as I said, these buildings and structures do have letters of pre-existing use. They've never undergone a site plan review, so we're kind of in this quarry where we have a lawfully existing structure which has inadequate parking. Again, they're proposing to reduce in intensity, because the site's never undergone site plan review. Obviously, if we were looking at a fresh site, they would have to provide the requisite parking, and they would have to size their site accordingly, but because we have lawfully existing structures that someone's trying to come in, it's kicked them into the site plan review. So that's why I did bring up the parking. They are 6 spaces short. In terms, I don't wanna speak out of turn about the taxi dispatch use. I'm not sure if the taxi dispatch use is considered an office. I don't think that would necessarily include accessory parking for the taxis. I think that would be a separate and distinct use. But it's something that the board's really kinda gotta wrestle with is, we've got someone who wants to make an investment into this, downtrodden property, kind of breathe some new life into it, and these are not necessarily self-created hardships, which is kind of the situation that's fallen into.
So let me just say, this is an area that we're really working on and looking at. This is This is a great area for us in Riverhead to revitalize and to work on. At some point, we really need to all come together and advocate to get more trains coming in there, which is really gonna help us, in that area. And I love the idea of a grocery store market in the downtown area. Of course, I'm always looking to get a Trader Joe's on Main Street. Gotta put that plug in there. But, I understand the concerns about safety. Jody brings up a good point too. We have to just watch that or figure that out, because you do see taxi drivers zipping through there, and people cut through there, I think, too. People
think
cut
that-
through that area.
I think that the, maybe consideration of putting this parcel into the parking district so that they can use the court parking lot on that corner over there, across from the train station perhaps, or some on-street parking might be appropriate there that could be striped accordingly, and, you know, possibly coming into the parking district and doing some improvements to the roadways, such as a crosswalk, from the court parking over to this building.
Right, it's a great use, I'm excited about it, but I do think those are some good suggestions, and I think we need to look to, you know, make sure that it is safe.
Is this gonna be the kind of supermarket that's gonna utilize push carts or anything that might, you know,
That
But-
I'm
get
not
left
sure.
around,
That's
yeah.
the point.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting question.
I don't know.
Pablo, can you
Don't get
address that
overwhelmed.
question?
Yeah.
Pablo, did you hear that question from one of the councilmen? He asked if this is gonna be a.
Utilize shopping carts.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was in mute, I didn't realize that. Yes, I did, hear that question. At this time, I don't have an answer as far as the push cart. I will double check with the owner. I believe right now, from the size of the store, it's mostly a grocery, a small grocery area. I don't believe the applicant is intended to use large size carts, maybe some small baskets. Is not going to have a huge selection of products that people can come and do the weekly shopping. It's mostly more like everyday needs and just quick items, not bulky items to have the need of have a shopping cart. And again, the space, I don't think it's appropriate to have any of these items, either in the parking lot or going through the store, since it's a small store.
Okay.
But I can double check that, and I can make the, just with the owner, what his intent at as far as the daily operations of the grocery.
Thank
And-
you.
And if that were the case, I know ShopRite has the sensors on the carts where you can't get more than like a couple 100 feet away from the building, that if they were going to have shopping carts, that may be a requirement, so that you don't see these shopping carts all throughout downtown.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I never tried to leave the parking lot with
If
my
you
shopping
go, if
cart.
you leave ShopRite and you go over to the Home Depot side of that aisle where the rotisserie chicken is, it locks the wheels.
Were you trying to go over there?
Well, there was no parking when they first opened up, so you really had nowhere to park other than the Home Depot
Sorry, I
side.
couldn't
I've seen those signs at a lot of stores, and I've almost been tempted to just see if it actually works, or if
It
it's one of
does.
do they?
It does, yeah.
It comes to a standstill. You
Wow.
get
Yeah.
pushed by it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of force.
I had no idea.
All right, so, to wrap it up, I will find answers to the board's questions, about the establishment of the taxi dispatch. I will prepare some information. I have looked at the parking district right now is separated by a couple 100 feet down on Griffin Avenue, so I'll prepare some information to get to the board to consider that. In the meantime, like I said, they will need to address the illegal expansion, that will need to be removed. We can address some of the more minor site plan issues with regards to lighting. The next time it comes back to the board, we'll have the resolution, we can coordinate. We'll refer to the ARB for their review and comments, and we'll bring it back to the board to wrap up some of these issues and get some direction.
So this is
Greg,
great.
having been a police officer in this town for 32 years and the loose caboose existing, any improvement we can make down there would be so much better. I'm glad to see that the owner is looking to do this. Obviously, there are a couple things that need to be addressed, but for the start of a revitalization of an area, I think this is excellent. And again, compared to what was there before, as to what is proposed to being put in, I think it's a home run for us.
Yeah, I agree, and I look forward to seeing more of these storefronts and more of these stores redone down there. It's exciting.
Great,
Excellent.
thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you,
Can
Pablo.
I have just one word as far as some
Sure.
of the, discussing some of these items? Regarding the, taxi dispatcher, I believe in this, I'll have to confirm, but I think the owner at this time is just expecting the lease to be over for this, tenant, and most likely there will be somebody else in the near future. Again, I can confirm that, I'm just kind of bringing some information from what he has shared with me in the past. I don't believe this taxi dispatcher may not pose a significant, traffic issues or any issues regarding with just the traffic in the area, but again, I can double check on that. Regarding the, dumpster enclosure, we will adhere to any suggestions provided by the, town of Riverhead, to make this a better, site plan idea to avoid some of the issues that it was, offered before. Regarding parking spaces, as I believe this as Mr. Bregman is thinking, I don't see him on the screen, but I think it was him that he was offering this information as far as the planning department. The owner is asking some kind of leniency in this case with the parking, since we are making this place, we are proposing to make this place 10 times better than it was, and any funds that we will not be able to use in the uplifting of this area is just is going to be excuse me, is going to be a setback into his overall budget. So again, if we are making this place, the parking issue, much better, the owner would like to request, kindly request some leniency regarding the parking fees and the ZBA, since we're gonna make
Yeah.
this much better. And I believe that's pretty much my comments. I welcome the results of this town board, and we look forward to make the appropriate changes on the lighting, on the pavement, and other comments offered by the landmark department and the planning board and the town board also.
So Greg, this comes to ARB, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, thank you, Pablo, and when you come to ARB, they might even have some suggestions about the enclosure for the dumpster, too.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, and I'm sorry, and just a final recap on that, that was the most important part, this illegal construction, yes. I don't have a good excuse as far as this illegal construction, just I wanted to say that, this structure can come down this afternoon if desired. We are planning to remove this right here, so this will be not make an issue in having this current application, approved. The owner will proceed some kind of, structure in the future during a separate application. He would like to have some kind of refrigerated area for some of his products and his products. I think that was the intent of this structure, and we recognize it was done without a permit, and it will be taken down the sooner the better. So we will not make an issue with this application.
Okay,
Thank you, Pablo.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think,
Thank
Greg,
you.
if we did take it into the parking district, if that would be a consideration of the owner, then they wouldn't have to go to the zoning board of appeals for those extra spaces, and they could pay into the parking district for the repair of the court parking lot.
Correct.
And-
I'll speak with the town attorney about it. I've never been involved in expanding a parking district, so I will educate myself on that aspect, and,
Yep, and Tim might wanna discuss it with the parking district also.
I have a meeting this afternoon, we'll bring it up.
all right, thank you.
Very good.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, everyone. This wraps up our discussion items. We will now move on to resolutions. Devin, can you please read off the, resolutions?
Okay. Resolution number 1, approve special event, chapter 255 application for Garden Aviv, Long Island Garlic Festival. Number 2, adopts a local law to amend chapter 105 entitled Boards, Commissions, and Councils of the Code of the Town of Riverhead.
What is that one?
It's going from 7 to 9,
Oh, right,
Rec
okay.
advisory.
Yeah, rec.
Number 3, approves fireworks permit application for Bating Hollow Club Sunday, September 6, 2020. Number 4, amendment fee waiver request for special event Long Island Moose Classic Car Club Show. Number 5, refund request of special event application fee for American Cancer Society Breast Cancer Walk. Number 6, installation of water mains and appurtenances water capital project number 30137 closure. Number 7, Vistas at Bating Hollow Water Service Capital Project number 30139 budget adjustment. Number 8, authorizes the supervisor to execute professional service agreements with H2M. Number 9, refund request of special event application fee.
This is, what is,
Number 8 is for the phase 1 for the 3 buildings downtown.
okay,
Okay?
got it.
Number 9,
The
refund.
developer pays those fees, right? Or no?
I think that the town will pay those fees and it's gonna be covered by.
Okay.
For our building.
Right.
But
For our
why
3
are
buildings
we-
downtown. It's part of the due diligence process.
So.
Get someone else to pay it.
Well, I'm just saying, so the professional, I just wanna read through the agreement, but I can. No. I have to look into that one.
Okay, maybe I'll come back to that. Number 9, refund request of special event application fee for Riverhead Country Fair. Number 10, amends terms and conditions for full-time appointed non-union attorneys in the office of the town attorney. Number 11, Vistas at Bating Hollow Water Service Installation Capital Project number 30139, budget adjustment number 2. Number 12, Sewer District R&M Buildings Budget Adjustment. Number 13, Sewer District Systems Repairs Budget Adjustment. Number 14, Scavenger Waste Map and Plan for Class A Biosolids Budget Adjustment. Number 15, resolution to acknowledge and express appreciation to all full-time members of the Riverhead Police Department, Superior Officers Association, and Public Safety Dispatchers serving during COVID-19. Number 16, authorizes the supervisor to issue a letter to the Suffolk County Department of Health Services allowing the use of Pine Barrens credits that originated from property located in Riverhead. Joseph Arcoli. Number 17, establishes standard workday for elected officials. Number 18, approves New York State Department of Environmental Conservation access.
Going back to the number 17, establishes standard workday for elected officials.
Yep. That's for paperwork required with Meg for Mason Haas and for Meredith Lipinski.
That has to be done every year.
Right.
Right.
We did Frank
We just did
last time,
one.
right.
Yeah, we made Frank have to work 24 hours.
But why is it, I'm just curious as to why it's 22.42 and 22.35, because they are full-time.
That I don't know, we'd have to ask Meg on that. If somebody wants to grab Meg, we can try to flush it out now, if you don't mind. Thanks, Bill.
Normally it's, I thought 35, right? Normally it's 35, isn't it, for us?
35 is full-time.
Yeah, they're
It's 7
full-time.
hours a day, times 5. But they are.
Yeah, they are full-time.
That's why last week we signed yours for 7 hours per day. Remember
Yeah.
the resolution? It was
Yeah.
7 hours per day, times 5 days a week, it's 35.
Right.
So I'll be seeing a lot of you.
Well, you know what, when we're not here, we're on the meeting, we're in meetings, on
Yeah.
emails, on phone
On the
calls, on
phone.
committees. I mean, we're the only town board that really has 10 committees assigned to us, that we're very active in those
Yeah.
committees.
Yesterday
Other
I had
towns
4
don't
Zoom
do that.
calls. Zoom, now you can meet any time of day,
Yeah.
anytime.
Meg, a couple of the council people had a question on the standard workday for elected officials.
Why is it 22.42 and 22.35 instead of 35 for Meredith and Mason?
It's based on the hours they work during the month, so, you know, an elected official doesn't work, as you know, a standard work week. So we do a calculation where we add up all the hours for the month, we divide it by the, number of days in the, work week. We come up with that calculation, so it depends on what they put on their calendar.
Okay, so they're not working 35
Well,
hours
what gets,
a week?
that's what gets reported to the retirement system, so we report either 20 days a month or 30 days a month if it's a month that has 3 pay weeks, so that's how it gets reported. So if you put like 22 every month, it'll average out to a 260 workday year at the end of the year.
Okay,
That's how we report it.
thank you.
Okay.
Right, thank you, Meg. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay, so that was 17. I think I read 18, but we'll just do it again. Number 18, approves New York State Department of Environmental Conservation access. Number 19, accepts the resignation of a groundskeeper 1. Number 20, accepts the resignation of a homemaker.
Can I just go back to, sorry, just the conservation access, that's
Yeah.
George Young?
Yeah, that's for George Young for the bats to record the,
They do it every year.
Yep.
Okay, all right, got it.
okay. Number 21, Northfield Commerce Park Project number 82053, budget adoption. Number 22, publish and post notice to bidders for 2020 or newer chassis, 10-foot 304 stainless steel dump body, custom low mount hitch, 10-foot stainless steel spreader, and 10-foot snowplow and central hydraulics.
Can you explain all of that? No, I'm
Nope.
just
Is
kidding.
this what Patricia put together for the bid?
Yeah, this came from the purchasing agent, yes.
You mean Teresa?
Teresa, yeah.
I was like, who's Patricia?
Number 23, the publication and posting of a notice to amend the FY 2019 CDBG budget. Number 24, authorize the supervisor to execute change order number 1, construction of booster station at plant number 15, contract G, general construction, Riverhead Water District. And number 25, authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement authorizing the town to accept funds from Suffolk County Office for the Aging for purpose of supplementing the town's nutrition program for the elderly. And that's it.
Great, thank you. All right, one last announcement, and I've just been notified that the weather is going to be,
An issue?
yeah, it's gonna be an issue today, so before we close, I just wanna inform you that, we are canceling Dine on 25 today. And, however, we are gonna hold another one next Thursday, September 3rd, from 5:30 to 9:30. So nothing has changed, except that we moved the date to next Thursday. And I hope to see everyone there. There were no executive session items today, so I would like a first and a second to end the meeting.
Motion?
Second?
Good. All in favor? All
Aye.
opposed? Okay. All opposed, so move. Everyone be safe. Thank you.